Hi everyone. I wanted to provide an overview of the first grade social studies curriculum and the updates that I made to it over the course of the summer. And I provided a list first of the table of contents, and this really hasn't changed a huge amount from what's happened in the past. First thing I should say that changed is the course description, and we based the new description around the fact that we are working with the TCI resources, and the fact that the TCI resources are based on the C3 framework, which prepares students for college, career, and civic readiness. And this new curriculum also incorporates thinking skills, geography, study skills, citizenship activities, and obviously checking for understanding through assessments. I didn't adjust the course goals, but I did adjust the course enduring understandings a bit. But I think you'll notice that if you compare this curriculum to that of the past ones, the same basic ideas run throughout just about every first grade curriculum. Curriculum continues to be based around two key standards, which are 6.1, U.S. History America in the World, and 6.3, Active Citizenship in the 21st Century. Both of these have always been there, but we've left them there all the same. And these are the four major units of study. Unit 1 is civics, Unit 2 is economics, Unit 3 is geography, and Unit 4 is history. And each of those units is going to take approximately one marking period of 40 minutes a day of teaching. So I included some materials as well as some different infusions of technology, and the basic materials include the TCI textbook as well as other things that have been purchased for teachers at the district level, like Discovery Education, Foundations, Reading A to Z, and Brain Pop Jr. I've also included some videos that I've made of how to use the TCI components as well as the model, which I've linked here. And then other things that I wanted to throw in included World Book Online Encyclopedia, which is a great resource for your students and for you as a teaching and learning tool for doing things like research and other links to learning and teaching, which I highly encourage all of you to check out. And I made another video about that I will share with you as well. So our district grading policy hasn't actually changed from before COVID. We're going back to the pre-COVID grading policy. So this one is actually outdated and I need to change it. But I will be doing that, I promise, very shortly. I've also provided a link of, I think it's 54 different examples of formative assessments that if you click on this link, it will take you to. And I've made a link to the instructional model here for elementary social studies, which I'll share with you. And it also includes links to TCI and to a couple other PowerPoints. But if you look at the instructional model, the basic idea is that there will be a formative assessment sort of warm-up or do-now activity where the teacher will activate prior knowledge or learn about and discuss learning gaps, introduce the objective or the essential question for the day, and then connect it back to the enduring understandings for the unit, and possibly introduce new vocabulary. During the remainder of the time, the great majority of the time, it's really designed for students to be exploring through various learning objectives and activities, whether they be hands-on or through the web or what have you, through things like student projects or menus or the activity cards that are built into the TCI program, or perhaps even linking something to service learning. Then finally, there's sort of a recap whole group lesson, which is a miniature version of, I guess a lecture, where the students come together and share their knowledge with one another and synthesize what they've learned. And students are encouraged during this period to continue to ask questions in conjunction with that C3 inquiry-based framework if they need further communication. And it's also a time where students can share what they've learned and elaborate on what they've done. And then finally, there's the assessment piece of this, where they're applying what they've learned or developing deeper understanding based upon, connecting something to real life or the community or what have you, through some sort of an assessment where they're showing what they know, or an exit ticket, or some other formative assessment. So in getting back to the curriculum itself, I've put a link in here to the C3 framework to show you a little bit about what that's all about. This is a lengthy document, but it's a very helpful document if you're able to peruse it. And then as far as Unit 1 and the other units, I wanted to reinforce the idea that the units are all set up the same way. So for first grade, we've got social studies, and Unit 1 is getting along in school. And Unit 1 is comprised of 5 what I call lessons. And you'll see the topics of the lessons here and some of the various activities that the students will be doing. For each unit of the 4 units, I've linked the standards. The social studies standards is there. I've also linked the English Language Arts anchor standards. I've created essential questions and enduring understandings, just like we've had in the past. So that's that verbiage. The verbiage changes, but the contents of what's there has not. And then in this section, we've created the learning targets or objectives. And what we've tried to do is to link the social studies objectives and put them together. And then we've also put the language arts objectives as well, because the district has made a major emphasis on integrating social studies and language arts more effectively than we've done in the past. And what I've done is I've taken those objectives from language arts from either Unit 4 or Unit 5, and I have put them directly into this. Now, not all of them will necessarily always apply, but certainly there's no reason why we can't have students reading and comprehending informational text, or spelling words, or substituting words, or what have you. So we are definitely going to be integrating social studies and language arts together, and these are some of the objectives that will help us to do that. There's those examples of the formative assessments, and within this chart, I've tried to provide instructional strategies that will be helpful for you to accomplish the goals of the curriculum, as well as interactive lessons and project-based learning and activities and projects, and some differentiation strategies for English language learners, learners with special education who are special ed, students who are reading and writing below grade level, and this may be a lot of your students coming out of COVID, or students who are quick learners or are already identified as being LEAP students. I've put the preview links in there so that you're able to see what the students have to do and what you have to do. And finally, last but not least, in each unit, I linked in additional reading opportunities for you that go outside of the TCI framework, or even find the public schools resources. And you can certainly build these books into your classroom libraries, or you can build them into the school libraries, and I've already enlisted the help of our fine library media specialists to hopefully help us do that. And some other links that relate back to civics that will assist you again in connecting that same content. And that's the basic framework for each unit of the curriculum. They're all set up the same way, but just in showing you how to use the TCI framework and information in it, I wanted to start out here. Your menu is basically built in on the left. Things can be translated from English to Spanish by clicking that button. And I wanted to show you some of the other examples of things that you can have students doing as a part of your curriculum. This is an example of an inquiry-based project where the students are interpreting information found in this, in gathering evidence found in this short little video. And again, it's based on the C3 framework of inquiry. So it's asking questions, and the students are asked to start providing evidence, which they can type into the boxes. And now they are looking into the compelling question or essential question, which is here, and they're developing some questions about this particular unit and how it relates back to that. They then start to gather some evidence, and soon they're going to be citing specific evidence from what they have found as a part of other things. So now they're building additional content knowledge from other links that are in here. And this is the section where it really connects well with language arts, where they are now citing specific evidence from what they have found, which is here, as a part of making a claim, for example, which is listed here. And then last but not least, as a part of each of these types of projects, the students are taking that informed action as part of the Standard 6.3, Active Citizenship in the 21st Century, and that's how they are taking informed action. And it gives you suggestions for things that you could do with your students, whether they're making a poster, some sort of a digital presentation, video, or what have you, that they can share with the stakeholder, such as the building principal, or perhaps someone in City Hall or the mayor's office. And again, it's got different projects. There are readings that are going to be embedded that, again, can be translated. It can be played and read to the students. The ideas can be highlighted by the program for you, and you're able to make highlights like the one I did here that stay with the students throughout the program. Students also can take notes, and you're able to take and add all of these different texts to your Google Drive. There's always a lesson game where if the students answer a question correctly, like say this one, how can we make sure we all get to do something we like to do? We take turns. We turn it in, and basically what it does is it fills in a block. And as you fill in all of the blocks, it eventually reveals a picture that you answer the final question with. So that's a nice formative assessment that you can break up your classes into groups or have the students do independent work. There are vocabulary cards that act as formative assessments as well, where you can again make this a center time activity or independent work where they are working on vocabulary. And all of the curricula contain assessments as well. Now, just a quick note on the assessments. We are going to be building one of the two tests that are required into Linkit. It will be quite short, and the questions will most likely come from these question banks, and the other test will not be issued in Linkit, but it will be linked directly into the curriculum. Now, just the last piece on some of the other features that the program offers. It offers a reference guide that includes the notes that the students take, a glossary of words used throughout the unit, like this, hundreds of biographies of people that are famous throughout history and have had some significance that can be used as a part of independent research, or Hispanic History Month, or Women's History Month, or Black History Month, or any other occasion if you wanted to teach students a little bit about famous people from throughout history. It contains ideas for citizenship, such as, for example, using the inquiry process to solve problems in our state and community. Well, this is the kind of idea that is similar to the scientific method, wherein the students see the world through a science lens, but in this particular case, they are seeing the world through a social studies lens. So if we're thinking about solving problems in our school or community, this is the same basic steps that students would go through. And again, this is just a coaching reference guide for you so that your students are able to understand what to do and how to do it if they need to take that informed action. Finally, there are always maps that get a little bit more comprehensive as students get older. But for first grade, there is a political United States history map and a political map of the world and the countries in it. And last but not least, there's a pacing guide of the estimated time for each of the exact lessons. That does not necessarily include the extra resources that are included. The last thing I wanted to share with you is the support link, which is here, which gives examples of how to, for example, create culturally responsive classroom communities. And there are some supports, for example, that go into this. So, it's a really nice way to see that. All you'd have to do is click in here and see it for what we have and look at the toolkit and so forth. So all of those links are designed to help you at every step along the way. The only other thing that I have to enhance a little bit further is the pacing guide, but hopefully this brief overview shows you all of the different components of the curriculum. It will be a living document, so it will certainly evolve over time, but that's a brief overview for now. But thank you for listening.